What's up, guys? Daddy Payne here.
And Vindaloo here. Guys, this is a public Big Two Crew announcement we felt that we needed to make in order to bring you up to speed with the latest development that is going on in our Legacy Tournament. Now, we had an unfortunate turn of events in the competition which has led to a dramatic outlook to the semi-finals that's going to take place during this weekend. Now, Daddy Payne, because you dealt with the teams involved, why don't you fill us in with the background of this story first?
Yeah, definitely. Just to give you guys a deeper insight to what happened, we need to go back a little bit, take you back a few steps, just so that you can understand the context of the situation and see how we got to this stage. The whole situation first started with the shock defeat of Get Positive at the hands of Team Q. This was something that was completely unexpected. Most teams had no idea who Team Q was and how they managed that win in the first place. But credit where credit is due. We felt well done. They fought a hard match and they managed to scrape the win in the end. What is important about this particular match is not the win itself, rather basically is that the match was rescheduled from the standard 8 p.m. UK time to 9 p.m. I'm sure you guys are wondering why is that important. Well, the significance isn't important now, but it will come to light a little bit later on once I get to more of the details. So following Q's win over Get Positive in the last 16, they proceeded to the next round in the quarterfinals where they went up against Team Art. And then once again, they requested a time change, but on this occasion, Barry Haynes of Team Art couldn't accommodate because a lot of his players were going to be signing out quite early, so they couldn't play that matchup. Now, I remember at the time when I was organizing all the matches on the day, this was the last match of the quarterfinals that I was getting started, and I think it was scheduled to kick off around 8:20 GMT. But when I was in contact with Team Q, they had a couple of players who weren't on at the time, and I contacted Team Up, Barry Haynes, and I said to him, "Listen, can you at least give these guys 10 minutes? And regardless of how many players they have by that point, we'll get the match started regardless. But please, at least give them 10 minutes." Very classy of Barry Haynes. He accepted that and he said, "Okay, fine, let's give them 10 minutes, so we can play a fair match, etc." And then after the 10 minutes, we managed to get the match started. Now, I remember I was receiving regular messages from Barry Haynes, who was basically saying that these guys are stalling, they're refusing to change from heroes to villains so that we can't start the match, etc. And I was like, just be patient. I'm sure they'll start, eventually. And again, the significance of this wasn't important at the time, or I didn't realize why this was happening at the time. But once the more of the story unfolds, you guys will realize exactly why this was taking place. So once the match eventually completed, Team QQ won that match 2-1, and proceeded to the next round, basically, again, which was another shock, because everybody was expecting Team Art to be able to overcome Q, and then all of a sudden everybody was thinking, who is this Team Q? Where are they? Where are their players coming from? What is the secret behind them? But we just let the situation unfold as it was, and then the key situation or the key points started to come from that point onwards. Barry Haynes approached me via Skype, saying that he'd been contacted by a number of players who he had no idea who they were, but basically messaged him saying that a number of players who play for SK had been using alt accounts and playing for Team Q, as well as some players also who were playing for Team Kira were also using alt accounts and playing for Team Q. Now, he obviously questioned me about this and said, "Is this an offense?" I said, "Yes, definitely. You're not allowed to play for more than one team, and you're certainly not allowed to do it under an alt account." And I said, obviously, if he's able to get proof of some sort, we would look into taking some action against the team in question. Yes, at this point, I remember mentioning these allegations to you guys, to you and Talisman. And particularly with the time delay situations, that began to arouse serious suspicion. For example, if you're going to have two players taking part for SK and then at the same time taking part for Team Q, the matches couldn't happen at the same time. There would have to be a time delay. Let's say, for argument's sake, if SK played their match at 8 p.m., in order for them to be able to play their match for Team Q as well, they would need to do so at 9 p.m., which is what happened against Get Positive. And despite the fact that they weren't allowed to delay the time against Team Art, there was a little bit of suspicious behavior going on, which enabled them to delay the time by about 30, 40 minutes. And as a result, this started to arouse some serious suspicion.
Now, obviously, we can't go on by hearsay and circumstantial evidence information. So
yeah, exactly. The plot soon thickened though when Keriaka as well as Triple both started to get in touch with me, and they confirmed the fact that, like the teams in question had actually been guilty of these sort of offences in the past on Frag Nation, where they'd been sharing players, sharing accounts, etc., and they'd actually been suspended or demoted through Frag Nation, as far as I know. So obviously, this was more information which added to the whole sort of suspicion factor, and obviously made us question the whole situation even more. But at the end of the day, this was still circumstantial. There was nothing here which proved that this team did this. So I got in touch with Barry and Triple I said, listen, what you guys are giving me is a fantastic explanation, and it's certainly extremely fishy, and we're going to look into this in more detail. But if I'm going to take any action, we need concrete evidence. So that's either a confession from the players in question themselves, or some sort of IP conflict, which was 100% confirmed that this player is this player. This is where Kiriaka came in, obviously, because he's a moderator in Frag Nation. But he said that the IP information or the IP conflict information that they came up on Frag Nation is not something that's 100% conclusive, and is not something that proves that any of these characters is certainly one of the others. So at that point is when I decided to speak to Squid directly, who's the Frag Nation director, for any of you guys who don't know who he is. And just to get to the bottom of the situation and see if there is any real concrete evidence to prove that the players in question for Team Kira and Team SK were directly related or were the same players as the ones who were taking part in Team Q. He obviously confirmed the same thing as what Kiriaka was saying previously, is that although they'd suspended those teams in Frag Nation for similar offences, there was no real evidence, or there was no evidence to confirm that those players were definitely those players. So as a result, we couldn't take any action because you had to apply the basic rule here: you're innocent until proven guilty. And unless we had something conclusive, we couldn't take any action. Obviously, Barry Haynes and Triple Rec were upset by this because they'd had numerous testimonials from friends of these guys. They'd spoken to various people. They'd put together all these these images, which showed very interesting relationships. But again, it was nothing conclusive, and we had to be completely impartial here. So as a result, at that point is when I decided to follow up the leads with our contacts at Sony. They were extremely helpful, and they basically said they were going to look into it straight away, and they would be able to confirm if for 100% if these players were related, or if they were sharing the same IP address or same PS3 for that matter. And our contact from Sony came back to us very, very shortly and confirmed that indeed on the days in questions, on the 8th and the 9th of December, there was a number of players who were logging on the same PS3 and then logging out of their original PSN account and then logging in on a completely different PSN account, which was the players from Team Q, and then obviously taking part in a match then. So that confirmed it to us 100% that these guys had been using their original accounts and then using alt accounts as well to take part for Team Q. Obviously, when we found out the information, it was very disappointing. Although we had suspicions of it, we certainly weren't expecting it to be the case to that degree. And they gave us little choice. We had to suspend all of the teams who were obviously guilty of the offence. I know a lot of people felt that some of our actions were a bit harsh. Why did you suspend the entire team in question? But we felt the level of the offence that took place here was on par with glitching and lag switching. And we all know that the penalty for glitching and lag switching in our competitions is disqualification for the entire team. So, the question here is not why did we suspend the entire team, is why did your player commit such a silly offence in the first place? And such a, how do you put it, such a disgraceful offence. Why would you do something like this? It's really, really embarrassing for you and your team. And unfortunately, if the players, in the team weren't aware of this, they've really cost their team. And it's something that the team captains should take very seriously and ensure that either those players never take part again or take serious disciplinary action, if you know what I mean.
Totally agree. But you think about it, the positive are so much more significant, and we have strong support from Sony themselves. Really, it's a blessing in disguise.
Exactly. And to be honest, at the end of the day, a Big Two Crew Uncharted tournament is never complete without a little bit of drama, right?
That is correct. We love drama.
Yeah, although it's turning into a bit of a soap opera these days, but what can you do? Well, in light of that, guys, listen, we just wanted to, as we said in the beginning, we just wanted to bring you up to speed with this situation. And we're grateful to the support we've had within the community because it's enabled us to act quickly and to deal with the situation effectively. And we're now moving on to the repeat quarterfinal matchups, which will be taking place before close of play on Friday. And you will find out very shortly after that who will be taking place in the semi-finals over the weekend. So look forward to that awesome action very soon.
Indeed. Now, back to the show.